Hello guys and girls. Today we're going to take a look at the Object 140 and also a little bit of how to manage your health as a resource in the game sometimes. Knowing when to save it and trying when to spend it. Try to get the results that you want. So, Object 140. It's pretty good, I feel. I really like it, but it's also pretty hard to play, so I wouldn't recommend it for newer players. My setup is with a gun rammer, optics and burst stabs. I play all of them as a bounty. The good parts is this is high DPM on this tank. It's 3000 base and I have 3700 with my setup. I'm using food and Brothers in Arms and everything on it, but that's a lot. It's good pen, 264 standard, 330 heat. It's pretty good. The shell velocity on standard rounds are really good point on this tank. Over 1500 meters a second, which is laser pointer almost. Drops to 900 with the heat though, but it's still not bad. It's just not very good in comparison. No idea where that shell went. That's how the tanks is sometimes. Turret armor is pretty good as well. It's not infallible. It is not the hardest turret out there, but it will work against most things at least. So you can rely on it pretty well. Hull armor is not as great, it's 110 millimeters only, which means that if you are using a gun depression, then yeah, it's gonna work. But if you're firing at your head on, you can't rely on it at all. They're probably gonna go through. Gun depression is also not great, speaking of it. It's 7 degrees, which is not awful, you can work it, but it's not... 8+ is where I feel like it's starting to get pretty soft and chill, and actually nice to use. It used to be 6 though, so it's still a little bit better than it used to be. Accuracy is 0.34 base, 0.31 with my setup, which is really nice. And gun handling, speaking of it, really good. As you can probably see by the gameplay, it never really blooms out much, and with the vert stabs, it's almost perfect. So usually when you miss with this gun, it's usually because you either aim bad or, wargaming does what it does sometimes and just screws you over completely. It is what it is. Camo rating is... I don't know what it is on base actually, but it's up to 34% with... on stationary, of course, with all the things that I have going. And here we can see that I'm trying to hide away from the artillery for a little bit. 2 tier 10 artilleries can use the quick work of most tanks, especially this one that's like spottily armored. And to some of the bad things now. So I'm only doing 320 damage per shot. That is on the lower end for a tier 10 tank of any kind, really, almost. Especially medium. So this means that you have to fire a lot of shots, and of course every time you fire you're exposing yourself to damage, and you can't trade shot for shot with almost anything because most tanks are gonna have a higher base damage than you are, so you're just gonna have to try to deal with that however you can, but try putting multiple shots in. I'm down to 5.18 or 17 seconds reload with this tank, which is why I'm up to this magical 3700 DPM. And yeah, that was a poor shot by me. Once again, it's a really good gun and I failed. Mobility is alright, as you can see. I'm getting along and around quite well. I do feel that the top speed of 55 is on the lower end for this kind of tank. It's not super heavily armored, but it's also not lightly armored. So it's alright still, it's fine. You're getting passed by other tanks, other mediums when you're going around usually, when you're really getting up to the speed. So I would not recommend this tank for newer players, or players who don't have the same amount of win ratio as other people, maybe you can say it like that. So you don't have idiot-proof armor, you have to fire often, which means you expose yourself, you really have to get on there, you have to be aggressive. You can't trade 1 for 1. So that's a high skill ceiling, and I still have a lot to learn in this tank. But for now, I like it still. I'm gonna focus more on the gameplay now. So, we're down by 3 tanks. And we haven't got much done. Fired a bunch of shots, missed quite a few. It is what it is. But we're gonna have to try to do some working on. So we tracked the Rhinoceronte. Tried tracking him again. Unfortunately, he got his tracks back right as I was about to. Doesn't matter, we got him down with the object for 7277. So that's 1 down at least. And 2 down even with TVP. So we're almost back to a good spot, solid point. We're still almost down by almost 3000 HP though. So certainly can't relax. This is also a really awkward situation where we have almost all of our forces are in the middle and the east side of the map. So that is never a good position to be in, because you never know when you're gonna get surrounded. I'm gonna have people coming up from behind. So that's why I decided to leave the hill for the first time in this entire battle. I think the hill is a really good position to be in, but you can't stay there forever when the game starts to look like this. And there we go, an EBR in the base, and I decided to go after him. Because I really don't. If he takes them out, no one is back there, and he's just gonna eat up the heavies from behind. Nope. Or maybe I did, but you know, EBRs tend to just eat shells for some reason. Swing and a miss. Gotta take him sometimes, especially when you're chasing EBRs, just try your best pretty much. Once again, 277 helps out, and we get him down. But I'm still worried about the western flank now. We have 2 unspotted mediums who are probably gonna make their way around. And we have a lot of, or several, tanks who are very low on hit points. Which means that this game thing is turning as a couple of shells is just gonna be a big change for how it is now. But I'm almost full HP. And so I think it's time to spend some of that health. Try and have an impact. Straight into the leopard. I tried to face hug him, so but it's not gonna be as good with firing at me, but it should. That didn't help anyway. I pick out the 1-2-1 instead. It's most important to try and take out guns in these kind of situations. And you can see like the high DPM of the tank. I was able to fire many shells, while the leopard was only able to fire 2 at us really. And we took one for the 1-2-1. That was a bit more than I had perhaps bargained for. But we're up to 4k combined, picked up 2 kills. One of them was almost full HP. So that could have possibly have been the play that changed the tide of his battle. Because they have gone out from behind, and they wouldn't have been able, probably not have been able to dig them out without losing. But we still have 4 enemy tanks left. 2 of them are very heavily armored T110E3s and 2 artilleries. And since I'm such low hit points, I can actually just get taken out by a single artillery shell right now. They don't even have to hit me all that hard, and since I have damaged fuel tanks that I've decided to not repair for some reason, they can actually just splash me and I can be in trouble. Try to find shots on the E3, but instead I managed to spot artilleries. So, okay, I change direction and take out one artillery instead. I always like trying to focus taking out guns from the battle. And I got worried about the E3, so I decided, you know what, I'm not gonna take the last shot and just try to move around instead. And this is where I start to get a bit nervous. That artillery has repositioned and is aiming towards me, maybe. I'm getting a bit paranoid. Nope. Probably not. We're down to 2 shells now. I've actually fired so much that I'm running out of standard ammunition. towards the end of the battle here. So we got him to use his repair kit at least. And getting into the side of this tank works pretty well when he's putting it towards us. As I don't fail to penetrate one of the gold rounds. I feel like I'm not allowing myself to aim quite as much here as I probably should, and get scared of looking into the barrel of the tank. And this is where I once again remember the artillery, and I just decide to finally repair my fuel tanks. So, there's only one big tank left and artillery. I feel like there's just multiple tanks over there. They can probably handle him for now at least. They've handled him for a while already. And I want to take the RNG out of the game by taking out the artillery. And also, of course, I'm chasing the Top Gun. Up to 5 kills, I want the 6th. I want the Top Gun. Oh, he's behind. Well, it's fine. We're just gonna let him shoot first. Luckily, he didn't actually high roll on his AG shell. But yes, with this gameplay, I want to show some of the good parts of the Object 140, which is high DPM. I failed a little bit to show the good accuracy of the tank. But overall, I think it's good. It's very solid. But you also need to know when to use your hit points, because you can't rely fully on the armor. Either way, that was it for this time. Cheers.